Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Mr. Ruel, to the Akim Akrath, try the falcons of the earth, holding on in sincerity and in truth, and diligence of mind to the gospel of the Lord and Mashiach Yahweh Shai. In these days and times, this is Brahmanasha, DC Camp, brief lesson for the hopeful elect. You already know that the profession of farming is a noble calling, alright? It's one of the oldest professions upon the face of the earth. So you have to approach it with diligence of mind, alright? It's one of the professions that really keeps you awake at night. That makes you kind of sleepless because you're praying that that the weather is favorable, that the season for planting is not delayed. You're praying that the temperature is all right, humidity. You're praying that you don't have no pests, no chaos, no disaster. When you talk about floods and earthquakes and mudslides, events like that, they can damage the structure of a farmland. All right, and you also have to deal with the issue of pollution. So it's rough. It's rough being a farmer, and then when you add all the drama on top of it, it becomes more chaotic. Yeah, so you just have to have a strong mind, man. Farming is not for the faint of heart. You have to be firmly rooted. You have to become one with the ground. Just like the Lord gave Adam, his name, all right, of the ground. So you have to understand that relationship, man. It's basically a position of humility. You have to understand what it takes, to take things from the bottom all the way to the top with patience, all right? So now we have I've heard of this report of this farmer over there in California having some grievances with some big corporation, and it just doesn't make sense, man. For farmers to be fighting, arguing over production, man. Because when things go this way, man, it shows that something is alright. That's a disconnect, man. The once noble profession has become a profession connected with corruption, and that's why a lot of people go hungry, man. Because corruption has been introduced into the system of agriculture. Corruption, man. You could dig as much as you can. It gets bitter and bitter and bitter. It's a sad observation, but it's still the facts that we have to deal with, man. Chaos. We're dealing with chaos in Babylon, and the farmers have to deal with chaos too. Yeah, man, because these big corporations, man, they want to have more control, and they'll walk over whoever they're gonna walk over. That's what monopolies. That's what they do. When you concentrate power into the hands of the unrighteous, what do you think is gonna happen? Just like Job 9:24, it tells you clearly, man. It tells you clearly the type of chaos you'll be dealing with, man. All right. So I just read it briefly Job 9 and 24, it says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Yeah, so you have to look at the actions, man. The actions, the deliberations, the results, the chaos. It just shows you that the system of the wicked is just moving with ease all over the earth. It's just steamrolling over people. So when you read from the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, 1 and 2, it says, a false balance is abomination to the Lord Yahweh Shai Kakadash, but the just weight is his delight. So when you have a system with just judgment, just reasonings, it it makes the Lord to smile, upon that habitation, upon that relationship, upon that connection, upon that community. All right, because when brothers are on the same page, the Most High is pleased with it, And then verse 2 it says, when pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. But with the lowly is wisdom. Yeah, so it's necessary, man. You understand what humility causes you to face. All right, when you have to take on the profession of being a farmer. All right, as a man of the Lord in this ministry, you also have to put yourself in that position of a farmer. You have to understand the principles of farming that you need to adhere to. You have to choose the right type of seed, the right type of soil, the right the right type of tools. The best time to plant. Everything is a choice based on a proper balance. When it's time for you to break the land up, you're out there. You're ready. Your tools are properly maintained. You're building up new tools. You're building up new skills. You're doing some consultation, advice. You're getting advice from other brothers, other farmers, to be more productive. And that is necessary in this ministry for you to grow. Yeah, because one farmer cannot feed the whole, the whole population. You need all farm sizes. You have small farms, you have mid-size, you have the big ones. That's what it's like when it comes to faith. Every brother's faith, every brother's field is of a different size. The Most High gives you according to your lot. So you have to learn to work with what you have, man. You gotta have something to produce. All right, it might be 50 bushels, it might be 100 bushels, it might be 200 bushels, 5,000 bushels. As long as you're bringing something during the time of harvest, that's all that's necessary. All right. So I'll play this video real quick.
In Aguacha, Ridley Farmer is being sued for trying to sell his nectarines. So instead, he's giving them away for free.
Action News reporter Carrie Mannix joins us in studio and breaks down the legal battle that's been ongoing for nearly 3 years and the community's response. Carrie.
Warren and Margot, third-generation farmer Cesar Mora took to social media this week, asking locals to pick his fruit so it doesn't go to waste. Yesterday and today, people have flocked to his orchard from all around the Central Valley to take advantage. This week, thousands of people have shown up to the small Reedley orchard bright and early to collect buckets full of...
Yeah, so you see large companies sues Ridley Farmer. Alright, it says Cesar Mora giving away 125,000 pounds of nectarine. Yeah, so this shouldn't be happening, man, when it comes to farming. It just shows you there is no unity, man. There's just too much partisanship. You know, there's too much self-interest that causes problems to spread. This how countries fall apart when you have farmers start fighting, squabbling, and they're losing their land, just like Jake's man, Jake of the Southern Kingdom, the black farmers, they've been losing so many farmlands since the 1800s, man, even the Gadites too. So you can imagine what these nefarious powers are going to be doing once they're able to consolidate power, consolidate ownership of resources. That means they can bend the backs of the people in any direction.
Free nectarines. It comes after career farmer Caesar Mora posted several videos to social media explaining why he's giving away the crop.
I should be picking them right now, but I'm not. All due to a giant ag corporation who has been preventing me from doing anything with this crop.
That corporation is the Giamara Brothers Fruit Company, a leading supplier of fresh produce based in Los Angeles. Nearly 3 years ago, the company sued Mora for allegedly breaking their contract when he stopped sending his fruit to them and sent it to another company instead. A legal complaint filed by Giamara's attorneys states Mora was granted rights to grow and sell the Mona Lisa white nectarine variety when he signed an agreement with them in 2017. In a cross-complaint, Mora and his attorneys argued that Giamara engaged in unfair business practices.
I was never able to get a return or make any money, really. I was farming at a cost, at a loss, at just their benefit.
That's when Mora says he decided to market the nectarines elsewhere. But before long, Giamara began sending him cease and desist letters, and he says when he tried to go back to the company, they rejected him.
They left me no other option but to leave it on the tree and let it rot away.
Instead of allowing another season to pass with a wasted harvest, Mora decided this year to give away more than 125,000 pounds of fruit for free.
Yeah, so that's what happens, man. You can't just allow, the blessings of the Lord to just rot away, man, in your warehouse, man. You gotta, disperse it to the people, man. That's what the scripture tells you. Let me get a scripture about that, man. Let's see. Alright, so this is Proverbs 15:7. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the foolish do it not so, man. So you have to understand, you have to pass on the knowledge that can help you, stay on a stable ground, man. This knowledge of farming is necessary, man. You just don't hoard and hoard, and there's no room for hoarding in this ministry. Hoarding. That's not a good way of living. I mean, that's basically what you call greed. Greed and foolishness, they go hand in hand. So that's why you have to hold on to the easy, simple principles of the gospel, man. It helps. It really helps, man. It's what keeps you grounded. It's what keeps you grounded. You have to appreciate these little nuggets of information that the Lord gives to you. All right. So you have to learn the basics of this gospel of the Lord Amashaki Abishai. So I'm going to get a quick precept. It's going to be from the book of Sirach, chapter 34, verse 21 and 22. It says, the bread of the needy is their life. He that defrauded him thereof is a man of blood. So this is a sad experience, to lose a source of livelihood because of some commercial, egotistical interests, right? And then verse 22 says that he that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him, and he that defrauded the laborer of his hire is a bloodshedder. Yeah, so this is what happens, man. This is why a lot of men have depression, because they get bamboozled by the folks with the big muscles, man. The folks with all the connections and all the resources that are able, to abuse that position of authority, position of power. People with all these huge connections, man. They just run over the people at the bottom. And that's the issue of the world, man. When the world is given into the hands of the wicked, these are the type of actions you see. Farmers get put out of business, just like the farmers that go into poultry farming. You see what happens to Jake when these big corporations put all types of restrictions and unnecessary burdens upon Jakes that want to go into poultry farming, and then they start having regrets and all that stuff. It just shows you what you're dealing with, man. It shows you what you have to deal with to take your product from the farm to the shelves in the supermarkets. It can also be a headache too, because you have to go through these big corporations, and it's a fight. It's a fight, it's a fight. So another precept will be from the book of Sirach chapter 40. Sirach chapter 40 and 24. It says, brethren and help are against time of trouble, but arms shall deliver more than them both. Yeah. So this farmer, man, he made the right choice of giving away those nectarines, man, because it's easier, to pass on that what do you call it, the fruit of his labor. All right, you just don't want it to go to waste. It doesn't look good. He already had dealt with that, the previous 2 seasons. So you can imagine, he cannot continue like that forever, man. Every season, the nectarines go to waste. So this time around, he had to call in the people, man. And that's why the Lord has people. Yeah, that's why the Lord, made man upon the face of the earth. That's just how it is. You have to tap into this, this knowledge of connecting with people at a lower level, man. Everything is not about looking up to these big wigs, man. That have all these connections with all these top lawyers and top corporations and all these government officials. That's not where the focus should be. The focus is on the people at the bottom. That's why the scripture tells you that the Lord is with the meek and lowly. And that's how it is in this ministry, man. You have to understand the value of working with humility. So we get another precept from the book of Psalms chapter 34 and 19, it says, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord Yahabashimashai Bashimukakadash delivereth him out of them all." And that's how it is, man. Brothers shouldn't be feeling depressed when things don't go the way you want it to go. There's always a way. That's why wisdom is there for you, man. Wisdom is not a one track, man. Wisdom has multiple options, man. Innumerable options that you can always tap into. That's why, the Lord said to our forefather Moses, that just our knowledge and wisdom in the sight of the nations. So you have to understand the principles of the scriptures that you dig into on a daily basis, man. Because if you stray away from the scriptures, man, you're going to have a hard time adjusting. That's why it's important. You have to stay plugged in to the words of the Lord. So another precept would be from the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 8 and 27. And this is what it says. It says, "Regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, but the desire of those that keep thy testimonies in afflictions." Yeah, so you have to hold on to the word of the Lord, when you're in a tough spot. When you're backed into a corner, all you have is your faith in the word of the Lord, man. You have to look for that opportunity to let the Spirit of the Lord move through you, man. And what this farmer did, it really strikes a chord, in the minds of the people. So you could see the amount of people that showed up just to pick that nectarine, man. Yep.
So far, Mora's attorneys estimate between 2,000 to 3,000 people have come to pick the nectarines. Many of them say they don't want to see them rotting on the ground another year.
I don't think food should go to waste, especially if it's nice and ripe, and just because of a lawsuit.
Yeah, so it's not just a one-day event. It'll be for the whole week, maybe for a whole month. But that's just how it is, man. You have to put these principles to use, man. The knowledge that the Lord has given you, you have to put it up. Put it up, put it up for action, faith and works. You've done the work. Now, you got to have faith. You got to have faith that the work that you put in will bring in the results, that you desire. So that's just how it is. Because at the end of the day, man, it's about feeding the people. That's what it boils down to, man. Because the scripture tells you about, you came into this world with nothing and you live with nothing. So those are easy principles that you can always keep yourself grounded with, man. Not to set your expectations too high. All right. So you are able to move forward without regrets. You don't want to get too attached to this world. So that's just how it is, man. You're gonna have afflictions in this world, but you don't allow it to get the best out of you. So many farmers have committed suicide because they did not keep themselves grounded, in the principles of Yahweh Shema Shai, the principles of this gospel. That's just what it boils down to, man. A farmer needs to have access to these principles of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai Bashmukakadesh. But if they abandon it, that's their end, man. That's the lights getting turned off. And it's horrible. A lot of farmers just give up the ghost because they cannot handle the shame of failure. So you just have to. So you have to tap into this knowledge that the Lord has put before you, so that you do not go crazy, man. You can't afford to go crazy in these times. You can't afford to lose your mind.
It's unfortunate that happened last year.
A Fresno-based attorney representing Giamara sent a statement to Action News saying Giamara Brothers Fruit Company remains committed to serving our growers with integrity, honoring our contractual.
Yeah, but that's what they did, man. You can't just hold somebody hostage. That's horrible. Scripture tells you holding someone hostage. Exodus chapter 21 and 16 tells you what comes with it. What's the judgment? So Isaiah 33 and 1 says, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee." So it's just the balance of the Most High's judgment. And now this this big company, Giamara, now they have they have the spotlight on them now, man. And they're not feeling themselves like they used to. Now they're in the spotlight. They're in the spotlight. Now the people know more about them. I just checked out their website. And I looked online. I'm like, God damn. If you're this big, it doesn't cost much, to pull other people up. But to push people down to the gutter, that's sad. But that's just what happens, man. And people don't forget things, man. If you want to bring in the element of tyranny into the agricultural sector, you're gonna create enemies of the people at the bottom. Because folks understand the value of life, and when somebody threatens their life with all these agenda, it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem that needs to be addressed.
Obligations and safeguarding the proprietary programs that provide value to our grower partners. Litigation involving Mr. Mora remains ongoing, and we will provide additional comment as appropriate. Now the legal case is set to go to trial on July 20th, and Mora says he will continue giving away nectarines until they are all gone. You can find his address on our website.
Yep. So this is what happens, and when you have deliveries of fresh produce to the food bank, the farmers are the ones, generating that, so you have to, give props where their props is due, and it's tough. You want those produce not to go to waste, because you have a lot of people that are broke, who are living check to check. You have elderly people whose pensions and benefits have to be stretched to the max. It's just part of the daily life, daily routine you see in Babylon, man. In fact, around the whole world, that people have to go to soup kitchens to get a hot meal. I mean, not even talking about shelter yet, but when it comes to food, that's something you have to address immediately. So it's a lesson to learn, man. It's a lesson to learn. So when you have people that are struggling, you don't want to compound their problems with issues that can be easily resolved, man. That's just what happens. You don't want to cause more problems because of because of some business decision. So it's rough, it's tough, but hey, it's just the requirements of the Lord. you have to honor that agreement, man. Do no harm. That's what it boils down to. As a farmer, that's what your oath should be, not to cause any harm, to the people. All right. So Proverbs 11:26, he that withholdeth corn, the people shall curse him, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. Yeah, so the supply has to flow, man. That's what it is. The supply has to flow, the produce has to flow. All right, you cannot be creating artificial famine. You can't be engaging in price gouging, extortion, forcing people out of the market and all that stuff, flooding the market and all that. It doesn't sit well with the Lord, you know. So it's one of the principles you have to remember, man. The principle of humility. It will bring the fear of the Lord upon you, so that you don't cause any harm to anybody. Now, the book of Proverbs 11:30 also says that the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. Yeah, so you could learn a lot, from these small farmers' actions, man, his decisions. You could see what it's like to have people come to your farm to pick, to help out, and all that stuff. That's what it's all about, man. That's what this ministry is all about. Brothers should learn, to put away that differences and just get in the, get in the farm, get in the plantation, and yeah, it's the time of harvest, man. What do Yahweh Shai say? It says the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. So man. You have to get the laborers in there, man. You have to get the laborers in there. That's what it boils down to. You can't just sit by there and expect the fruits to just pluck themselves. Matthew chapter 9 and 37, it says, then said Yahushua unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Verse 38, pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. So that's what it is, man. The words of the Lord, man, it's always in plain sight. It looks hidden, but you can always see it when you look, clearly enough with the Spirit. So that was the point of this lesson. Abaratazar, you've been edified, and hey, we keep ourselves updated. Shalom.